September the 16th, 2016. I'm Dana Durnford, your host, nuclearproctologist.org. And you can find these videos at Beautiful Girl by Dana on YouTube. Now, Super Typhoon Meranti probably killed, I think, around 100 million trees. Snapped them, tore them apart, ripped the branches off everything. Japan is littered with broken trees and broken branches that I was able to get from the footage. 230 mile an hour gust, 190 mile per hour confirmed sustained. But the gust would have been a lot higher than that in valleys and fjords and around corners of high structures, buildings. But the streets are littered. Taiwan is littered, and China is littered from this radiation-induced supercell storm. We've seen 6 of them. Fiji, Tonga, the Philippines. It was 30 million trees were turned into projectiles. 41 provinces were flattened. But they were a more impoverished area than what China was. But nevertheless, we're going to cover... Hi, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Oh, I'm not there. Lately, I've been not able to get my act together. Today, we get my act together. I'm good to go. Round one. Oh, God, I haven't got that done again. Wait, now. There we go. Don't touch it, Dana. Hi, everybody. I'm Thirst. William, CJ, Oomph. See, I don't know how to make it that one, but that's what I call it. Oomph, O-M-P-H. That's the best I can do, man. Girl, boy, folk. Sorry. Johnny Ken. Elaine, Nobleness, D. Miss Milky, Jan Brooks, from Miss Milky the Clown 1. And you'll find a link below to Jan's site. That's for art. Thank you, Lonnie. Lonnie's had another interview this morning. I'm doing symposium in Denmark tomorrow, early my time. But what the hell? Can't remember the name of it. It's okay. I'll get it in a second for everybody. And so we got a whole... Hi, Biddy. Hi, everybody. Neil. Anybody I missed, my apologies. I'll just run up, make sure. I'm Thirst. I know Candace is out there somewhere, etc., etc. Hey, Kiss. Kiss is on the go. Busy day. Shawnee. Yeah, I miss all kinds of people if I don't check. Okay, here we go. We're ready. I like saying hi. Hi, Contact. Hi, everybody. Oh, corpse filing deadline is over. Lonnie does taxes kind of thingy. To pay her way through college. To be a lawyer. Take on the Glass-Steagall Act. That would be nuts for her. And let's get going, because otherwise you know me, I can sit around for hours and not get nothing accomplished if I'm not careful. And that's not the headline, but that'll do. But let's get back to it. We're talking about incinerators. I can bring I up here. I, Dana. I, Dana. Okay. Let me see. Hundreds ill after Fukushima nuclear plant rubble. This is rubble. That's not Fukushima nuclear plant. The nuclear plant itself, rubble. So think about that one. So why, if they're burning rubble from a carbon-free nuclear power plant, would you get nosebleeds and problems with your eyes and throats and skin, I wonder? Government says radiation levels low enough to be safe. That's a criminal act, that was, to say something like that. There's no such thing as safe. And when it comes to nuclear waste, that's why we have terrorist laws and nuclear holding sites. And that's why we build sarcophagus. That's why we give each power plant billions of dollars to secure it. not because it's low. There's no such thing as low. They just keep raising the bar. That is shocking, though. Burning nuclear plant rubble in a major Japanese city. I'm not sure what one it was. Genetic passports. We're going to build over the next 50 minutes or so, we're going to build a precise look at, even without the meltdowns per se, the actual physical meltdowns, if they were just burning all this waste in all the incinerators throughout the country, is what you're going to come to the conclusion with. It could kill the ocean. But we'll get to this stuff in a bit. Genetic passport. This was about, oh my goodness. This was, yeah. This was a community. This was Voice. I just threw this one in there because look at the pictures. It's tough. I know. I'm sorry. I should have warned everybody. No one warned them. 456 nuclear bombs were tested in that area. But the genetics in that area was really, really, really the extreme side of it, you know? But that was nothing compared to what Fukushima's reactors are doing. Those 400 tests is nothing compared to just a single reactor in Japan, let alone each building in Japan had 5 more reactor cores, 6 reactor cores minimum. They keep the fuel in the building for 10 years. Report from Japan, radioactive fallout around Fukushima incineration plant being hidden. Very odd. No, hardly. Have you even listened to a nuclear pro speak? It's like a banana, like a potato chips, like walking in the sunshine, like getting on an airplane. No, they don't hide shit. 70 years they've been hiding, and every animal died in every study. Oh, we cover lots of that. Japan's professors arrested. Extremely unjust. Publicly opposed burning of radio debris. Publicly. How dare you? What? Call it a corporation? They should have burnt them at the stake. That's a joke. That's a pun. Someone's going to clip that out and say, Daniel calls for burning, professor. 300 times more radiation released in the atmosphere from burning debris than claimed by the government. And wait till you see some of these numbers. But is the government, we got a lot of headlines you probably haven't seen before, a lot you have. Is government trying to contaminate every region in Japan, because it's one subject, by burning radioactive debris? But I did mix up really good. We got a whole whack to get through. If everyone is contaminated, and in a relative sense, no one is. So if they're burning the debris in incinerators throughout the country, right, then Fukushima is no good moving anywhere because everybody's burning it everywhere. It's like they gave up hope. It's like they said, forget. They said, we don't care anymore. The rules don't apply. They apply to everybody else on the planet, but they don't apply to Japanese because they're not clever enough to be able to deal with it. They're not smart enough to gut up, man up, and deal with it. They're not intelligent enough or motivated enough to care for some reason. It's because they know the horrible truth. They've given up hope. They shouldn't. The world should be there instead of the mob. The entire academic community should be there rather than the homeless and the destitute and the victims of society and the immigrants. And that the military should be there instead of the unsupported, the uneducated, the unhealthy. We should bring in those examples that want to sacrifice their life for the better, send them into Fukushima. But don't trick people. If everyone is contaminated in a relative sense, nobody is. Fukushima will start burning. This was the low numbers they started off with, 100,000 becquerels a kilogram. That's a dirty bomb. That kilogram is a dirty bomb. And they got 1 billion of those dirty bombs of the radiation debris. That's not the 30 million one-ton bags, 5 lanes of traffic right around the planet, bumper to bumper. You couldn't cross the highway right around the planet. That came out of 4 buildings. No, don't. We're not talking about that stuff. Think about the reactors. There's 15 reactors. I just want to show you quick pictures of these reactors and the damage. There's Unit 4, completely gone. There's Unit 3. Yeah, it went straight up in the air, blew up, caught fire, blew up, caught fire. That's Unit 4. This is what the building should look like, but that's what's left of it. It's all gone. The reactor cores and the reactors, 10 years of reactor cores were up in the roof. And just a quick boo of Unit. But they say it looks like that on the inside of that. So we're not here to talk about nonsense. We're here to talk about the real deal. We're here to talk about 30 million bags coming out of that thing there. Yeah? And so 2 more reactors. That's Unit 1. That's the roof of it, completely gone. They just cracked that open a couple of days ago after 5 years. They got a sarcophagus put around it. And this is Unit 2, and it's completely gone. And each of these buildings have 6 reactor cores in them. Radiation plumes now hit Hawaii, and in a year it'll probably reach the U.S. West Coast. And what they're talking about is ocean currents. This was April 8, 2012, yet they're still denying it. But if you actually think about how the ocean current works, it takes 45 days to get to North America. So it gets to Hawaii in less than a month, severely. But it gets there by the jet stream within a couple of days. It gets to North America, and it did. And we're not going to go down that road today, right away, maybe later. We're basically recreating Fukushima over and over and over and over and over by burning debris a day after day after day after day. Clouds of radiation continue across non-stop line. And I can show you that all until the sun comes out of my ears. It doesn't matter. We got it all. Japan burning Fukushima debris 10 miles from the nuke plant. Yeah, that could be the Daini burning shit. The Daini went down too, right? They couldn't go in a cold shutdown. They had station blackout. High temperature incinerator building on site at the Fukushima Daiichi, across from the incineration workshop. What? Workshop. No, there's nothing wrong with that statement. High temperature incinerator right at the power plant. So where the rods, throw the rods, shovel it in like you're shoveling coal into the trains in 1950, or the mummies in the 1920s. Yeah, I said mummies. I'm going to have a cigarette. Don't have 7,000 chemicals. You don't. Your cigarette has 7,000 chemicals. Most cigarettes do. I don't. So the government is inherently dangerous. It allowed that to happen. Plus, it allows what's going on here, incinerators. But burning it in incinerators, you're just liberating. You can't kill the isotope. You can't destroy the isotope. You can't harm the isotope. You're just reliberating it back into the environment. Sorry. It's just I got a light coming right up at my mug here, and I'm just trying to knock it down a little bit because it's hard on my eyes all the time. Including building materials and clothing. Plant will burn. We're going to burn it right around the clock. Yeah, baby. That's how we get it. We don't need those stupid sarcophagus and Yucca Mountain. We got us an incinerator. Yeah, and you'll be dead in a few years if you're lucky to live that long. If you're burning it right at the nuclear waste site itself, you're getting pounded with neutrons and gamma shine and X-rays. You can be dressed in the prettiest looking outfit you could find for radiation protection, but it can't protect you from the rods. It can't protect you from the highly radioactive material directly on the site. The suits do nothing. And yet they're intending to remove the suits now from people. To pretend there's some normalcy, pretend that it's not harmful, to pretend it's like a banana. They literally got themselves convinced at this stage it's like a banana because they don't go to the site and die. So they didn't die. So it must be like a banana. But this is a crime against the planet. This is a crime against humanity. This is a crime. If a terrorist does it, we would lose our minds. We would grope everything at every airport till the end of friggin' time. But if Japan does it because it's the nuclear industry, we can ignore it because the nuclear industry is involved and they're so powerful that we're able to ignore it. But should we? Because the nuclear industry is running this planet at this stage. They're the biggest threat to the 8 million species on the planet, period. I mean, their Daiichi has killed the Pacific Ocean. There's no way to recover from that. I know I'm looking right over here all the time, but I'm just reading. Incinerators will be able to operate right around the clock. 14 tons a day. This is at the nuclear power plant. You got any idea how out of control these people are? With a combined capacity handling 8 tons of waste per day are not in operation. They're used to process radioactive water instead. The whole site's radioactive. Anything you burn there is hell. Anything you burn there is a crime. Anything that you burn there is breaking the charters for their corporation, for their nuclear industry. But because they got corporate personhood, they're like Mark Zuckerberg. They can't get a criminal record. They can't go to jail. And they're always put back up in the media as somebody who's innocent and that the company is the criminal. And they don't even do that. Oh, the company got a fine. Ha. Paid it with taxes that you put in offshore accounts and didn't contribute to the country in the first place. Kickback. Give us back some money, man. You're putting it all in offshore accounts. This is what TEPCO has done to us. Fukushima's a new blueprint for terrorists, Harvard professor. All you need to do is cut off power for an extended time and just bye-bye the planet. Why would you put a nuclear power plant in your community or your country? All you got to do is cut off power and it's game over for your country. It'll mitigate any benefits it can contribute. You can run good. You can have 100 nuclear power plants running perfect for 50 years. One melts down, you can never print enough money to solve it. Therefore, economically, it's the stupidest thing imaginable. How come we don't put the space shuttle rockets in the middle of New York? Because we know fucking well, excuse the language, Google has censored this video now because they swore. That's how this is working lately, right? If you swear in your video, Google censors you. People still watch the video, but you don't get the views or the thumbs up, allegedly. But we know the Canadian police, the Sandys Police Department, and the FBI, Woods Hole, and the University of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, conspired with Google to censor me on YouTube for the last year, for sure, and a year before that, before I was even charged with a crime. That's in the court documents we got from. We go to court in 4 days. We've got to be in the courtroom. I can't wait to get there. I pray every night now when I go to bed, they'll show up. I know they're not going to show up, but I pray every night they're going to show up. And we raised the extra, almost the extra $200 I asked for yesterday. That would have made me feel safer, have at least that much on me. Because we got to get ferries and hotels. I got to bring somebody with me down to court for calling out the lawyers like I'm doing today. I had to take down 300 of these videos because I called out Woods Hole, Oceanographic Institution, and the University of Victoria. I'm a terrible person, I am. How dare I call out the two biggest public speakers in North America and show that they were telling lies? How dare me? And, I mean, they banned me from using potatoes, bananas, walking in sunshine as context. They banned me from using the videos I'm accused of as evidence. I'm not kidding yet. The last court appearance. Well, the last one I didn't make it to court. We wrecked on the highway. Right on the way there, we didn't show up at court. And the one before that one. They're definitely going to try to kill me this time, too, I'm sure. Workers dump waste because they removed more radioactive material. I was hoping to raise enough money I could leave a few days early. This is so expensive and dangerous to do the things I'm doing. And just take my time and go along the back roads and not have anything happen to us at high speeds that way. And just like come to a stop and collect their mind instead of rushing down there and race straight into a courtroom because we can't afford to get the hotel rooms to do it right. But that is the life of me. They got millions of dollars to beat me up, all the media on the planet to wreck me and destroy me. But hey, here I am, still here. Outrage, a great problem. Workers don't. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it like it is. Because they remove more radioactive material than expected. 88% of cesium and radioactive ash might be at risk of being transported away from Japan. So not only are they burning it in incinerators, the ash left over gets washed away in the tsunami or the typhoons and snow and rain and everything else because it gets dumped in a landfill in a pit. It's not covered or anything. It just gets washed with water back into the ocean or lifted up into the sky with wind. It's like they're out of control. Just imagine if Toronto, Canada, or New York City would start burning nuclear waste in the incinerators around their community. You know what would happen? 1 million people go down and tear that place apart and everybody associated with it. But for some reason, Japan, the police will beat up anybody that protests. The police don't even care about their own country down in Japan. The politicians in Japan don't care about their people. But more staggeringly, the police don't hold anybody accountable for doing this. This is a crime. Police can just look it up and they'll see it's a crime to release radioactive material in the community. Don't matter. Whoever changed the law and said it was okay, go arrest that guy. Force the industry to build the nuclear facilities to contain it. Dumping it in, you abrogated every code of conduct by doing what you're doing. This is untenable. This is unimaginable. This is like 6 years ago. If I was to read these headlines to you, you'd be like, data photoshopped it all. Nobody on the planet would do that data, you friggin' idiot. Right? And I get all this hate mail. I'll get that anyway. Japan to burn drums of unprocessed radioactive waste from the accident. And they're not going to burn it at the accident site. No, they're going to go 100 kilometers from Tokyo. But everything they burn there comes to North America right away within 3 or 4 days. Not everything, but the majority of it, though. They're burning it at 3,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures. It's going straight up in the air. It's like a forest fire. The hotter it is, the farther the smoke and the particles fly. We're talking about atoms. We're talking about 2,000 atoms on the head of a needle. 2 million, you can't see it. But one of them will give you a cancer, an illness, autoimmune deficiencies, up to 1,800 diseases and show up before cancer. This is absolutely out of control. This is completely out of control. These people are, the nuclear industry is incompetent. They're completely insane. Every one of them are a bad apple. Every apple in the barrel is bad. That's what nuclear is. Every person involved in it. We've showed that, even though they took down 300 of my videos in a court order to silence me. They arrested me and smeared me and vilified me and demonized me in the media right across my country, worldwide and in Japan. Major media, and the biggest ones in North America, come out and vilified me. I'm still here. Still rolling, baby. I'm not going. I'm all over the internet anyway. If you do kill me, you get rid of me. Just trip down there. We already got a copy of the documentary, and then that story will be told, included with the documentary. And they got permission now to distribute the documentary, and then the processes will be used to start up a non-profit organization to fund my research, even though I won't be alive anymore. And the people that will be running it will be the right people. You know that. You know me. I've been assured. Hotspots found in large numbers near Tokyo, northwest Chiba. Government alarmed by unexpected population drop. There was 860,000 excess cancers a year after Fukushima. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to be a martyr for any cause. Who do? Why would you want to be that? Why would you do that? What are you going to accomplish by doing that? Nothing. In my scenario, because I'm the one who's able to articulate it and be all over it and do it and physically do it. I'm literally the only person that ever went out and done the whole coastline concerning Fukushima, and that documentation is all up at the nuclearproctologist.org. It shows an extinction event on the coastline of Canada. Let's keep going, though. Massive radioactive waste buildup in Tokyo suburbs, and the first-time centers are over capacity. Waste, like sewage and stuff, right? It's so hot they can't get rid of it. Sewage. You know why? Because everybody's crapping it out. You know what that means? They're all dead people walking. There's 1,800 diseases shows up before the cancer, but the dog studies are definitive. Every animal died in every study, decade after decade. No animal survived. Like the plot of a summer horror flick. I got a few of these thrown in there for keep you off balance. All along Canada's Pacific coastline, which is what I done, 15,000 miles, 260 days on the Fukushima Expeditions for Life. Bodies are swollen by cancerous tumors in seafood. Cancer in seafood. And cancer is the last one to show up in humans, and it doesn't show up in seafood, but here it is. Because there's so much radiation and killing the oxygen, killing the bases of the food chain, and killing the bacteria, allowing cancers to spread from one species to another like a virus. Like cancer becomes a virus, and yet they're selling mussels throughout Canada. We got all kinds of farms there right here. I'm in British Columbia, Powell River. right on the ocean. Not that there's many mussels left on the coastline. I done the whole coastline. That's up at my site. You'll see there's frig all left. Unprecedented. There's 14 species in any given spot, and when there should be close to, say, 5,500 anywhere you go. If you had enough people, you would count the majority of those species, no matter where you're to on the coastline of Canada. Well, you would. Now you'd be lucky to count 14, and none of them will be healthy. Unprecedentedly, huge mortality event happening along the U.S. West Coast, Canada and Alaska included. Die-offs are ongoing severe. We had diversity. We had organisms in the water. There used to be 1 billion creatures in a glass of water. Then all of a sudden we saw nothing. And then everything starved to death. 100% death rates of the baby seals on the California coast alone. None survived. Many were starving. Yeah, they starved and they came ashore and ate the rocks, the naked rocks. Normally they would come ashore and eat all the vegetation on the rocks, the 600 algae, the 78 species of sea anemones, the 76 species of starfish, the 6,000 invertebrates with the backbones hid among that. Then all the other tidal zones at low tide, they could have come ashore and munch, right? Milkless moms. This has not stopped. This is 2016. This has been ongoing year after year. Historical crisis. We're facing a fishery disaster very never seen before. Things should be exclamation alarm to public. Extinction threat for salmon. Well, the sardines, the squid, the herring, the anchovies, sea urchins, the kelp, sea star, the mammal strandings, all starving to death. 12 inches of blubber down to 4 inches before they die. West Coast was hit with 220 million atoms per liter of iodine. And iodine 129 is just a byproduct. The biggest product would have been curium. So it would have been many times that of curium if they had to look for it. But it's hard to have the equipment. It's very expensive equipment. I don't know anybody out there that's got the equipment and the activism capacity that has the equipment to look for curium or plutonium or something like that. The ones that do are the paid opposition. My cigarettes don't have 7,000 chemicals. And so iodine 129 with a 15 million year half-life. There was just as much minus 1 times. There was 31 times less 131. And there was 20 times less 132 iodine. And it was almost the same numbers for 133. So 132, 133, they ionize and radiate your thyroid glands 9 times more effectively than the 131. And the 129 is not a big emitter, but when it's in your body, it bonds with the carbon. And it's able to stay in your body a lot. You know, it's able to aggregate in your body a lot easier. It's like organic. And the way it bonds. But what it does is it attacks your chromosomes and your DNA permanently. And so your body attacks that, every one of them that shows up in your body. Your body has to attack it with white blood cells for decades. And so your body is attacking itself with white blood cells. What do you think is happening to the oxygen, the red blood cells with the oxygen and the nutrients? They're getting displaced, right? For the white blood cells, and they're being made in your spleen and your joints. So this was Environmental Canada and University of Ottawa. 220 million atoms per liter. So that's game over. Cancer is the last one to show up. But if you go look at the microscopic world, if you go look at the tidal pools like we do, let's keep going. Otherwise, highly radioactive glass rain. I want to tell this story. Highly radioactive glass rained on Tokyo. Fukushima nuclear fuel with 500 trillion becquerels a kilogram. Excuse me. I just want to grab that. I'm looking for that. Hang on. Bear with me. I know. Let me find it here. Just bear with me. I'm looking for something. I want to. There it is. Okay. So it's the Open Mind Conference in Denmark. It'll be 5 p.m. their time. I'll be on for an hour. It'll be around 7 a.m. my time or something, Pacific Standard Time, British Columbia, Canada. I'm looking forward to that. I just want to throw that name out there so I didn't forget to do it. Fukushima nuclear fuel with 500 trillion becquerels a kilogram found. Significant consequences for human health. Yeah, 500 trillion becquerels a kilogram. This is so Germany would package food away on a nuclear waste site if it had 5 becquerels contamination or something was 5 becquerels contamination, gloves or hammers or transgenics, nuclear waste. 5, not 500 trillion, but 5. And in that was in Germany. In France, it was 17 becquerels as Fukushima happened. They were packaging up nuclear waste at 17 becquerels, atomic decays, like this stuff here, was packed up. And so Tokyo's done, but let's keep going. But these numbers, this is like, whoa, this is a recent headline. This was a few months ago. So billions of pieces of Fukushima nuclear, I'm spinning my eyeballs, have spread pretty much everywhere. It's truly frightening. Wherever there's cesium, there's plutonium. And every dog in every study, when given plutonium, just a single mono-dispersal inhalation, including ingestion, was died within 5 years. All the dogs in every study, and every animal in every study for 70 years have died. But we have a lot of studies on the plutonium on animals, and they've never cured an animal, and every animal dies. So why are they still doing it 70 years later? Because they're completely out of control. First time since meltdown surge in radioactive cesium levels caused incinerators near Tokyo to shut down. Thank goodness. What? My goodness, I'm glad they had a surge. Jesus. Do you think it's only cesium? For every cesium produced, it was 100 times more strontium-90. Bone sinker, mutating your stem cells right in your bone. But the reactors don't run on cesium or iodine. They run on uranium, plutonium. And uranium with a 4 billion year half-life, plutonium with a 29,000 year half-life. And then it morphs to another isotope and then another isotope and then for 10 times. 29,000 years apart. Prove it. Yeah, Why are incinerators burning radioactive debris? Because everybody's insane. There's no one to hold them accountable. If we don't talk about it, nobody will. If we don't come out there and make a big fuss about it, if the people that are watching this don't make a big fuss about it, if the blogs out there don't carry it, then this, which is what they're counting on when they're using internet censorship to accomplish, so they can't find it. Tokyo neighbor cesium approaching levels found in Fukushima. And the Chiba incinerator dust now at 70,000. That's probably just from normal garbage. Let's keep going, because we got cover a whole spectrum of this version. High levels of radioactive material found in Tokyo, 170,000 becquerels a kilogram in sewage. Woohoo! Post-Fukushima horror, severe impact on the oceanic environment, an unpredictable amount of damage to the Pacific, and fundamental to the reproduction of humans. Japan is simply dumping the nuclear waste into the sea and splitting the atoms out there. Incinerating radioactive material could contaminate the environment. What? Somebody give that guy a Pulitzer Prize to get a Nobel laureate status. Iodine 131 level rises now. Iodine is important because it's got an 8-day half-life, shows a ongoing criticality chain reaction, which means it's consuming everything around. It's like a breeder reactor. It's consuming everything and ionizing it. It's coming in contact with fissionable products and releasing it. And one of the byproducts is the iodine. But the biggest byproduct of the radiated fuel rods is going to be curium. And curium is just like plutonium. But plutonium is a fissionable product, and curium is made after the fact. So is plutonium. They have to make it and then reintroduce it in there. Same with the fuel that you're using in most of those reactors was uranium-235. Uranium-235, so they took the 238 out of the ground, put it through a chain reaction, and reclaimed the 235 that it was creating. Yeah, these people are completely out of control. Sewage plants. And so iodine, if they checked for 132, 133, there would have been 30 times more 133 than one iodine 131, and it had a shorter half-life. But then it's just, that's what I'm talking about. The iodine, you can find it on your Geiger counter, and I always got to remind people, the Geiger counter up above me is live. Man, I was fighting with the camera again this morning for like 20 minutes to try to get that freaking Geiger counter to show up. 600 kilometers from Fukushima, high level of cesium in Osaka. And Osaka has 3 of the biggest auction blocks on the planet. In Osaka, one of the fish auction blocks is what we're talking about. $17 billion a year auction. And so this place was, everything is radiated in the soil. So iodine 131 reported in Tokyo December 27th. So it showed a criticality all the way up in December 27th. And that 10 of the 12 sewage plants test positive for iodine. So people were ingesting it and pooping it out and peeing it out in December. In 10 of the 12 sewage plants, showing that they ingested the criticality that it had went to Tokyo, right? Because otherwise it wouldn't have had iodine in their poo at the sewage plant. See? You get it? Yeah. So Japan is destroyed. It's just going to take a decade or so for that to really be blatant, where they can't hide it. But, I mean, there was 860,000 excess cancers, and cancer is the last thing to show up in 2012 in Japan. A complete abnormality for any other decade or any other year during that period. We've never seen, there's nothing in their census about that shows that kind of, I mean, that's significant, see? Almost 1 in 300 people got cancer in Japan in less than a year. But no, Dan, there's no increase in cancer. You know, there's 13,446 children, not out of a million. There's normally 3 out of a million gets thyroid issues. There's 13,446 out of 40,000, when there's normally 3 out of a million. Iodine 131 detected in Tokyo, December 12th, that's another one on it, at a garbage facility. So it wasn't just at the sewage plants, it was also at the garbage facilities. So everything was contaminated. It was blowing through their communities, obviously, for that to happen. Japan researches the problems here to stay. Each rain will bring cesium and the thousands of other radioactive isotopes into the community that will be reliberated by that. Not counting that's burning in the incinerator. Radioactive iodine, and you're finding it in the incinerator. You're finding a lot of this in the sewage system, not just the iodine, but the cesium, because of they're burning it in incinerators throughout the country, see? So it's only going to get worse. Radioactive iodine found in Goma at 3 sewage plants on top of that. Possibility of criticality. Home store selling radioactive cement. Well, this is insanity. That's insanity. It's normalcy, but I know, but it's insanity that this is even happening anywhere on our planet, yet in such a big population. It's completely out of control. Nuclear is done, and they won't accept it. And they will murder everything on this planet. They scratch another couple of years out of it. It's a bridge to nowhere. That's what nuclear is, a bridge to death. It's a bridge to hell. It's a bridge to an extinction event. That's what nuclear is. Not just for any country, but for the whole planet. And the expeditions we've done on the coastline of British Columbia, Canada, shows an extinction event for the Pacific Ocean. Major Japan paper reported on detection of iodine in Tokyo and Kawasaki. That was October 2011. Let's get some. Iodine found multiple times in the Barkey and in their sludge, their sewage, 320. But just iodine is just 8 days. That means everything else was there too anyway, because it's not like just, all of a sudden this showed up there. That was the iodine. Oh my God, it's here too. No, it just shows the criticality was going on in Fukushima, or in that 400-kilometer zone somewhere in the 15 nuclear power plants and nuclear holding sites and the common spent fuel pools in that 400 kilometers that was chewed up like a wood chipper. Like a wood chipper. I said wood chipper, Dana. And I help you shit, Dana. Bring up the wood chipper. Right, so that's where all the people died. Just quick reminder. And the nuclear power plants and their nuclear waste sites and the common spent fuel pools were on the ground, by the way. We're in the same spot where that happened. That's where all those people died, because those people died because that happened. Because that happened in those communities. Here, in the red and the yellow are the people missing. That's where the nuclear power plants are too, 15 of them. See? Yeah, you got it. Yeah, good stuff. Here we go. Let's get back on it. We got a lot to burn through yet. We're doing good, but we got a lot to get through. Newly released data shows iodine found 512 sievers an hour. 5 sievers will kill you. No one went in and cleaned it up. Do you think that's going to go away? You think that got an 8-day half-life or something? That's why they're only sending in the homeless and the destitute. That's why we got to do something. That's why we got to put a stop to this madness. We got to stop the reactors in Japan. We got to stop those reactors. We got to stop those incinerators. We got to decommission the incinerators. Just like a nuclear power plant got to be decommissioned. You got to do that to that whole fucking, excuse the language, Google. I'm sorry, Google. Don't block my video. Google. They're swearing. Idiots. Idiots. Censorship is out of control. These are private corporations. Now have taken the job on for the government to censor everybody for everything. They can't get a criminal record. They can't go to jail. Eric Schmidt won't go to jail for anything he done. He won't even get a criminal record. He can do whatever he's doing somewhere else now, and if you don't catch him, he gets away with it. It makes billions of dollars. And it's these types of people that have wrecked the planet and are going to continue to do that to the planet. And if you don't hold them accountable, what do you think is going to happen? If you don't hold a bully accountable, what do you think is going to happen? Huh? You give them unlimited power and authority on top of that, what do you think is going to happen? If you stand your ground, if you stand up, they'll cower, they'll go hide. You shine a light on them, they'll scurry away like cockroaches. These people are insignificant nobodies who hide behind the letter of the law, allegedly. And then the law is used, instead of arresting them for trying to suppress the people from finding out what's going on, they go and demonize the victims of it. It's not backwards, it's stupid. It's not backwards, it's the end of society as we know it. So they can have a paycheck, so they can feel, because we got an order. Yeah, Hitler gave his guys orders. You see what happened at the Nuremberg trials? It didn't hold up. The nuclear industry is an abomination on this universe. Fukushima recriticality, September 9th. See, it showed that the plumes were constantly coming out is what you're looking at. It's not just, but the incinerators are insidious on top of that. So you got the plumes coming out all the time, showing with the iodine. That shows that. And then you got the incinerators burning it everywhere too. You just want to go ahead and blow up all the nuclear power plants on the planet and get it over with. This is like killing somebody with cigarettes, lighting them up and burning them until he fucking dies. Excuse the language, Google, don't censor me. I'm sorry, Google, for being a human, Google. I'm sorry for having emotions, Google. I don't have emotion cons to suppress my indignation, my contempt. Let's keep going. Government allows cows to emit up 100,000 cows per minute. And you can't decontaminate anybody or a cow. This is out of control. This is completely out of control. And then Abe turned around and gave the garbage men the ability to make something a state secret, gave the local councilman the ability to make something a state secret, gave the local welfare clinic the ability to make something top secret. And then whoever they said wasn't allowed to say could be arrested and dragged away and incarcerated on top of everything else. A single handful of people have done all that to us. A single handful of corporations have done this to the entire planet, this Killer Pacific, and nobody was willing to make a stand. So outside of us, nobody is willing to get out there and say, hey, I don't think that's right, because of logic and science and moral compasses that are applicable. 100,000 cows per minute in the cows. Feed it to everybody. 230,000 becquerels per square meter in Tokyo on an athletic field. 6 times as high as limits that are insane anyway for the radiation control. Should have been way lower before. Like any radiation in your body, you're going to get it in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Drive away. suck in, drive by a nuclear power plant, suck in a radioactive isotope, and a few decades down the road, you or your children will pay a horrible price. You'll liquidate your assets. Why would you want to live alongside? There's 6 times more breast cancer within 15 miles of a nuclear power plant. And they're all in big cities usually. And they know this stuff. Every animal died in every study for 70 years. But that's violence against us. That's violence against us the entire time. Everything you've seen is violence against us. But how dare we raise our voice and say, well, I think these people are shitheads. Dana call for death threats. I think these people should be dealt with immediately and should be treated like the worst criminal imaginable. Dana calls for treating criminals harshly. Dana calls for treating murderers harshly. Big headlines. Dana should be locked up. He called for holding murderers accountable. He said it was a crime. Dana should be locked up. He said nuclear scientists committed a crime by saying it's like a banana when it's not. And they're nuclear scientists. You should be allowed to say what you want. And you should believe them. You go ahead and eat that Pacific fish and get all the cancer. It's not going to show up for a few decades. You can't tie it to the scientists. The fish was good, wasn't it? Highly radioactive sewage. Sewage. So all the people that put their faith in these people go home and poop it out. Don't even know it. Don't even get it. Don't even understand it. Can't even conceive it. They got to pay the bill later on in a decade or so. They're lucky to live that long. Yellow rain. You know what they said? It was like pollen. It was snowing too at the same time. Oh, it's pollen. And then all the media ran it. Oh, it's just pollen. If that was my brother and he wrote that article, I'd walk up to him, knock him out. Yeah? And then I stomp on his fucking head. Yeah? Go ahead and censor me. Google. I actually don't care. Or Woods Hole or UVic, working in tandem with the FBI and Google and the San Diego Police Department and the court papers to censor me. Because telling the truth is revolutionary. Telling the truth, showing the documentation as you're talking is terrible. It's horrible. You should be demonized right across Canada for doing that one. You're scumbag, Dana, for doing that. How dare you, Dana, go out and do the whole coastline of Canada and about little tiny dinky. Why they vilified me the whole time, demonized me the whole time, attacked me, smeared me the entire time I was out there struggling, trying to stay alive. They done everything they could to kill me. It's heartbreaking to me to know people done that to me. It's a heartbreaking story anyway. But I don't know these people. I never done nothing to these people. They're doing it because they get a paycheck. And they will wreck everything and everybody around me to get at me to try to attain their goal. And then they'll laugh about it on the weekends, drinking with each other and partying with each other. And they hate me. They learn to hate me. But yet I make them a lot of money because I'm always back and they got no one else to pick on. But they're bullies and they need to take it to a different level to get the same thrill. That's the people that work for the nuclear industry and the people that are attacking me. They always try to take it to a new level of intimidation and threats and deception. I'm still here, baby. We'll find y'all one of these days. We'll hold y'all accountable in the courts in the very near future. I'm sure of it. I look forward to those days. Tokyo drinking water unsafe for infants. What was that headline before? Yellow rain recently reported. What was the date? 24th? This is 23rd, right? They're giving out water on the 23rd. And on the 24th, he said it was Poland. Right? Left hand don't know what the right hand's doing, do they? Comparisons with x-rays, CAT scans. They're either stupid as a rock. And if they're educated, then they're insidious, mass-murdering freaks, disgusting, scum, predatory losers that have attained positions of power in order to be predators and have simulated themselves into the good favor in order to leech and suck off the system while they destroy everything around them they can. That is the nuclear industry. That is public relation firms as we know them in North America and particularly in Japan. Almost half of Japanese women tested showed radioactive iodine in the breast. So this was from a chain reaction, ongoing criticality in April, right? This is shocking. These things are shocking. All these people will die from that encounter. Just that single encounter. These people are living in it all day, as I showed you from the recriticality evidence from the iodine 131. That's the recriticality. It's only one of the 12,000 isotopes. It's just a tracer and it's easy to find. There's nowhere to run. Hot radioactive particles in Seattle at 50% of the levels seen in Tokyo. And it latches onto your lung tissues. And I can show you some of that documentation if you like. And so there's 144 beagle dogs inhale 1 or 2 sizes monodispersal aerosols of plutonium. But the biggest product there is the biggest byproduct, curium isotopes. The same guy. And they work the same way on the animals. Bone tumors, lung tumors, beginning after about 3 years, and all the dogs are dead in every study. Dr. Raymond Gilman from Lovelace is just one of thousands. And once again, just a quick reminder, we've done the whole coastline of Canada. I'm just going to show you 5 pictures. We went out in that, and we have a little dinky that normally sits on the roof. And we've done the whole coastline, 260 days, 15,000 miles. And the next 2 or 3 pictures I'm going to show you are pre- and post-Fukushima pictures, side by side. And remember, we went right on the beach, right up on the beaches. And so instead of looking healthy, instead of looking incredible, instead of looking inconceivable, unimaginable, it was naked, no matter where we went. And we went through 15,000 miles of the coastline over 260 days, through the 26,000 islands. And we never left no stone unturned that we didn't want to leave. And what we discovered was less than 100 species left on the coastline out of the 5,600 highly visible species, the indigenous residential population. But there's 4.2 million other species in the Pacific Ocean. Let's burn through these. So America got pounded with hot parties because you only need one. And it's game over down the road. IEA today admit there's no such thing as safe levels. And that the allowable radiation standard that the IAEA is using is based upon a benefit, not safety. So it's based upon the homeostasis, not upon the homeostasis. Homeostasis is your body regulates it. And when it comes to man-made, your body can't regulate it because it's never encountered it before. And so it attacks it. And so what they're doing, that's the confirmation that the IAEA, and by the way, IAEA this morning, I haven't read it all, but just let me flash over to that. IAEA report came out today, just a few hours ago. So they acknowledge. So they acknowledge no significant changes were absorbed, even though they're burning it in the incinerators all day long, right? They never found nothing in the marine, no extra, no. But they're like all the headlines I'm showing you. Just remember those words. They acknowledge the lifting of the evacuation orders indicates Japan's efforts with regards to environmental remediation and recovery activities in areas affected by the accident. The IAEA encourages Japan to continue those efforts and monitoring, but continue those efforts which are moving people back in. And in this assembly, they acknowledge the IAEA, the results of the investigation of the fuel debris located in the Unit reactor. So in other words, the IAEA is being used now, right, as to say that all this. But see, the IAEA is based upon what I'm showing you right there, right? Allowable radiation standards based on benefit, not safety. Right? And the Hiroshima victims in Nagasaki they studied external, not internal. So that shows you can't trust the IAEA right off the bat. But with the air samples in Tokyo, with burning it in the incinerators, with dumping it in the rivers, you don't find no increases. You don't find that suspicious. You don't think that's not like, hey, wait a second. That's what makes them people, everything about them so dangerous. That's why they're completely out of control. Even the IAEA, whose job is to promote nuclear, by the way, they're not the nuclear regulatory or something. They're just a a mouthpiece. They're just a bunch of people got a label, and that all the government likes to refer to them as if they're somebody important. But they're just a think tank. That's all they are. And for some reason, the nuclear countries have each of the nuclear country has a member at the IAEA, and so all the pro-nuclear are the only ones who gets any say in the conversation. And now we're at this road here where life is hell. Tokyo air samples 270 times more contaminated. So that's game over for Tokyo. If it was just Tokyo, that was game over, though. 40-odd million people, just right, they're all dead people walking. Over the next decade, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. That is just, like I showed you, every animal died. Do you think humans are special? We're just at the apex, top of that food chain. Radioactive ash is 70,000 becquerels near Tokyo. That's from the incinerators. Workers said that's not burning debris. That's just the incinerators. Normal. That's not, you know what I'm saying? Right? Because they've been burning debris for the last 4 years or something straight. Workers say ground, what I showed you when I'm talking about is different. But they're the same context. Workers say ground under Fukushima plant is cracking. Radioactive steam is coming up. So the melted core is out of the building, for sure. We knew that anyway. We got all kinds of reports about that, videos about it. Where the ground opens up and steam comes flying up. No, that's normal in Fukushima Prefecture, Dana. So it's cannibalizing the rocks and the water down there and atomizing the aerosol and ionizing and radiating it. And then it just splits the earth open and it releases into the environment. It's a dirty bomb. It's the worst thing imaginable is in contact with fissionable product. Radioactive iodine found in 50% of the children's thyroid. It burns through the rest of them. Public outcry over Japan government's monitoring tweets and blogs. Yeah, why is the government monitoring our tweets and blogs? Who the fuck do they think they are? These arrogant morons. You hire them to monitor the corporations, make sure they're not polluting the country, not to monitor you to find out if you were talking about it. Get down there and fire those people. Get down there and get in their faces. Get down there and get your answers and get down and resolve it and take back your government. Because it ain't going to give it up. It ain't going to walk away. It ain't going to turn over a no leaf. Polonium will no longer be measured. That's how trustworthy your government is. Almost impossible for a normal person to detect it. The Geiger counter is not going to detect it. Government raises the contamination standards to limit payment of relocation money. They raised it 20 different times so children wouldn't get potassium iodine pills right after the accident. They raised it so high that it was 20 times World Health Organization, which you can't trust these people. And even their numbers were ridiculous, but they raised it 20 times higher than that because there's no one to hold them control. There's no one to hold them accountable. There's no one there to be assertive with them. The people that do speak out come out and they speak out like they got a big sock up their butt. Government raises contamination standards to limit payments. Fukushima release so great that the radioactive aerosols in Washington were 100,000 times normal. You only needed one plume to come through your country. That's why you have monitors all along your coastline. That's why you were building all these bomb shelters. That's why you have all these terrorist laws. That's why you're trying to build Yucca Mountain. That's why you have all these nukes holding sites. That's why you're trying to come up with solutions for 70 years while you're killing all the animals. Who knows what you've done with all those bodies? TEPCO confirms steam came up from underground in reactor 1 too. 4.7 sieverts. So past that, you're dead. That's a deadly dose, but it'll take you about 2 weeks to die if you just walk past it. You might die quicker because there's actual steam coming up. If there's just a fuel rod with no steam sitting there, you walk past it, it'll kill you in about 2 weeks. If you're still up there for 20 minutes, you'll never leave that site because you're nuclear waste. Anyway, you shouldn't leave the site. But 5 sieverts will kill you. There was 1 million outside of Unit 2 at one point. Nothing to fear in Tokyo. Then came the test. 1.5 million becquerels near the church. We're through it. We're on schedule. We're 1 minute to go. This is the last one. It's the duty of the scientific community to reduce public fear. Right? So that statement shows the arrogance. That's the last one. And 876 millisieverts a year when you're only supposed to get one. But it's their duty to reduce the public's fear by lying to you, by pacifying you, by consoling you with fables and fairy tales. Did you ask him to do that to you? Would you want him to do that to you? Wouldn't you rather know? If there was a chemical release in your community, would you want the government to tell you it was like a banana? If Dow Chemical was burning and your children were stood up at a bus corner and then they got really sick, would you still think it was like a banana? Because they would. But see, like that kind of stuff, the effect shows up almost instantaneously. And it did with this stuff. You were in Fukushima Prefecture. Your hair was falling right off in the street. You were puking uncontrollably in the street. Your hair was falling right off your body in the street, losing all your arm hair and your hair on your head and your eyebrows in just a few minutes because you ingested so much radiation. You killed every cell in your body. The plume was so thick, but the particles were so hot that they were emitting gamma shine and X-rays and neutron beams. Because they were using reclaimed uranium plutonium from the mixed oxide fuel. This is where they took missiles, and we'll end it on that. We'll come over and say good night to everybody. Good day to everybody. So yeah, we're heading down to court Sunday, I guess. Or Monday, I guess, actually. And I will be live streaming reruns here at Beautiful Girl by Dana for 24 hours a day while I'm gone. And so it's going to be streaming full time. And so I got all the best audio I could find of my videos. I got them all put together into a folder. And we're going to stream them and while I'm down there on YouTube in order to, as act of defiance. And also to educate the population in case they get rid of me or kill me on the way down there. Yeah, they should spray plutonium in their noses. Is right, Amthirst. CJ, Jan, careful what you say, Purple Jam. Yeah. Well, like you say, it's been a rough year. And I'm pretty good. William, Contact, CJ, Neil, you can, and Elaine, and her son there, who died of vicious cancers a few years ago. Jan lost her lovely a couple of years ago. So many tragedies, so many people. And the closer we get to trolls, hey, Miss Frill, you know it. And she's got a wicked blog. You just jump over to her site, Miss Frill, and you can see it right there, right? And you'll know you're on that right site. You can link over it. Nobleness. Hi, everybody. Christopher. John. 2,000 counts per minute. Colorado Springs. Most frightening thing. Insects are gone off most of the coastline now. You're just down to a few dozen species. Birds are mostly gone, just down to less than 11 species. Marine species are down to less than 100 out of the 5,000 plus highly visible species. Hugs for everybody, Candace. And and CJ and everybody. Hugs for everybody. Thank you, everybody, by the way, for getting us this far. It's been a long struggle. I've asked a lot from everybody, and everybody has done what they could do and have done. And you can't just wrap it up in a sentence or a word. But once again, you can recognize it and make sure that people understand that it took a lot for me to get to this point. And in a couple of days, we'll be vindicated. But my name is still smeared forever by these people, still destroyed. My reputation has still been tarnished. And those headlines will always be used to smear me. People will tweet those headlines forever just to get at me. And there's no validity to it. And they don't care. That was the idea of what they done to me. There's nothing to be gained by what they done to me. These people have to show up in court for 6 hours a day. Do you think they're really going to show up in court? You got any idea what that will do to them alone? Can you have any idea what a conviction will do to these people? They got no intentions of it. It was all about bankrupting me. 12 Furies, 12 hotel rooms. I'm going back down now prepare for another 3 or 4 days of hotel rooms and Furies. Just an amazing fortune and time and energy. Concentration destroyed and my reputation. And then in order to what? So they can hide it from you. So they can stop the truth from coming out for just a little bit longer. So they can pretend that it was okay. So they can look like the heroes for just a little bit longer until their families find out what they done. And then then they don't matter anymore. But we got a real problem. We better deal with it. And we better get busy and constantly vilifying the people that are trying to do the moral and ethical thing like myself. That is something that you'll hang around your neck forever to the people that are doing it. That is something that will haunt you. Trust me. For the rest of your life, you will never tell your friends or your families or your loved ones or your children what you've done to me, I can assure you. Because you will not be proud of it. You know they will tear you apart if you tell them you were involved. You will always carry that burden, knowing that you stopped the world from having an opportunity. That's what the University of Victoria and Woods Hole's legacy is. They done everything they could so you couldn't know the truth. And they told you every lie they could to confuse you. And they did. It's recorded. It's on interviews. They've done it repeatedly. All we done was said, this is outrageous. This is a crime. Hugs for everybody. Well, I'll put out a video before it takes off, a little short. It won't be a stream, but a short video. And we're off on Monday for the big one. So take care, folks.